sorry mate, what was that? Oh, just going to have a scratch. All right, does anyone understand what he just said? No one talks dog today? Oh, okay. All right, well, I'll translate. What he just said, he said, guys, I'm just going to show you a little bit about how I help Greg down on the farm. And so what we are going to do, you see we've just got a small mob, there's a dozen Merino Weathers here. So Merino being the breeder sheep, they're our premier wool producing sheep, and Weathers is the sex, so they're boy sheep. So what we're going to do is just work them up around here and through this drenching race over here on my left, and then I'll explain what we're doing as we go along. Then we'll go over here and through the drafting race on my right. The same thing, as we go along I'll be explaining what I'm doing and what the dog's doing. So then after Waddy's done that, I'll bring one of the younger dogs, I'll bring Bundy out for a start, and Bundy will show you, or I'll show you with him, that sort of mid-stage of training, if you like. Bundy's what I call an intermediate or improver dog. And then after Bundy's had a run, I'll bring out one of the young dogs. I'll bring out young Raymond and show you how we start the pup working like that. So we'll get underway. So first thing you'll see, the Border Collie and the Kelpie are what we call heading dogs. So their natural instinct is to get around the sheep, get them into a mob and work them up to me as the master. And you'll see with all these dogs, they're nice, very quiet working dogs, just nice and quiet, steady workers. And see, they use a lot of eye, so they actually move the sheep around with their eyes. You see what he's staring at them like that, the sheep that's coming out a little bit. So you see how he dominates those sheep with that eye, and you don't train that. When I train the dogs, I don't actually train them to work the sheep around and hold them in a mob. That's their instinct. I just train them to control, to go the way I want around the sheep, and when to stop and when to move in and that sort of stuff a little bit. And things like this, we teach them to back, however, in the yards. Alright, so you see where the sheep are sort of knotted up here and not going into the race. So you send the dog and he goes over their backs to the front one to get it moving, and then he come back along the ground and back through along the rail to get the sheep to pack up in the race. And it's really important that you get the sheep packed up into the race nice and tight, because that race is where we do, like saying, all the veterinary husbandry type activities, where we do our vaccinating, we do the backlighting, the drenching, all those sorts of things. So it's important that the sheep are up here tight, because when they're all close together, the sheep being such a flock animal, when they're close together they're much more content. So you can see now, see this one here, he's no trouble. I can hold his mouth and he's not stressing out because he's in with his mates. So as we go along, you'll probably hear me say about 30 times low stress, stress-free stockmanship. That's what we're about. We don't want to see, confuse myself with that tendon. We don't want to see the sheep getting worked up and knocking themselves around. Now, as I said, this is one of the things we do here in this race is what we call drenching. So I'll just put the drench pack on for the demonstration. And drenching is you give the sheep oral medicine to get the stomach worms out of them, because sheep are very susceptible to stomach worm, and if they go untreated, they can actually, the stomach worm will actually, they make the sheep lose that much condition until the point where they can die. So you have to keep your sheep in fairly regularly and drench them out. Today I've just got water in the drench gun for the demonstration, so you can see what I mean about while they're in with their mates, not so fussed about me giving me his drench. So it's quite easy on both me and the sheep. The sheep is happy to be drenched because he's in with all his mates, as I said, and I'm happier because I'm just working here from the outside. I'm not having to get in with the sheep and fight and wrestle and carry on, so it keeps everyone happy. So we'll just let the sheep back out again. sheep before they rack off down the other end. And as I said, it's really important. What? Come here. Sit. Stay there. Really important with your stockmanship that it is low stress. You must have your dogs under good control and also yourself under good control because as the stock owners or as stockmen, we have a duty of care to those animals that we look after, that they are in good condition and that they're handled properly. And the other thing, apart from your duty of care towards those animals, if your dogs are rough on your sheep, or if you're rough on your sheep or cattle, you'll very soon start costing yourself a lot of money because especially young weathers like this can be quite scatterbrained. Sit. So if the dog's out of control and just racing around chasing them everywhere, you'll soon have weathers crashing into fences or trying to jump fences and hurting their legs and all sorts of things. So very quickly it comes off your bottom line. So really important that your dogs are just, as I said, just nice and quiet. You'll achieve more with sheep by staying nice and quiet and controlled than you will with all the yelling and screaming and arm waving in the world. So same thing, once again now we'll just work up towards the draft race. I'll just get Waddy to move him up a little bit. You see that bit of a trick with sheep is usually if you get one to go, they'll just follow after one another, and as I say that, he backs up. Not to worry. One thing about sheep, they say the only thing sillier than the sheep's the people who work with them, so you see, as I said, this is what we call a draft. So in this race, come up here, here. So you see here, with I can use those gates to separate the sheep up if there was two different mobs. So if there's two different mobs, we can use the gates to separate them up. So if you're drafting lambs off ewes, or if you had two different age groups mixed up or whatever, you get your dogs running the sheep up to you through this race, and then I can separate them with those gates. Also, just a point of interest, these yards are what we call a set of portable yards. So the wheels on the side of this race, you see there's car wheels on the side, it actually jacks up to become a trailer. So then you stack, all these panels stack up on the side of the race, and you can take the yards to the sheep rather than vice versa. Really handy if you get in a situation where your heavily pregnant ewes are perhaps well away from the main yards of the shearing shed. You can take these yards to the sheep rather than walk the sheep all the way back to the main yards. So in a situation if someone's left the gate open or a fence is broken, the sheep got in, whatever, we'll take these yards down to the sheep and set them up in the corner of a paddock or in a small holding paddock, and you'll work about 300 or more sheep comfortably through those portable kennels if they're set up correctly. So I'll just pop the sheep back into one mob. So the other thing you might notice, even just with this dozen sheep, how much ground the dog has to cover just to work the dozen sheep around a little set of yards like this. Sit. So you can see he burns off a lot of energy during the day, and that's why we use the Bonnie working dog, because it's got a very high level of protein, 22%, which enables him to put muscle down and also to give him energy. And also it's got a very high fat content, which enables him to keep his condition. And you can see what he hit. Well, come over here. So you can see with your working dog, you don't want them, they can't be carrying extra fat because they have to do so many Ks, but you just want a nice cover on your ribs and that nice strong loin there. Alright, Waddy, so what we'll do, Waddy can go at the back to the green room, and I'll bring in young Boogie to show you the next level of training. Rightio, so as I said, this young dog's name's Bundy, so he's just on 18 months old. It's likewise the same as Waddy, he's a border collie dog. So where I'm up to with Bundy, he's been sort of coming to work, sit. He's been coming to work, working in the paddock and that with the older dogs a bit. So we're really starting to continue his education here over the last 10 days or so. There's just this bit of control, like he sits and stays where I want him to, and his direction, because with your yards you need that bit of direction to position the sheep for your gates and that sort of thing. So I asked him to come behind and just clear the sheep off that gate. So you see, we're just working on that bit of precision with him. I asked him to go right, so I persist. I don't stop just because he doesn't want to go in there. I want him in there. And all I'm doing is just getting between the sheep and the gate because I want him to, what we call, clear the gate. So then I don't have to worry about all the sheep being in the way of the gate when I'm trying to get them in. And you see, the same as what he's nice and quiet and uses his eye more than anything else. Back. So still, like I said, just nice and quiet. There's no need to rush. Let the sheep circle around and have a look. And eventually they'll go. Alright, so you see the dog that he can come up over the sheep's back, so important to get that front sheep to move and then to drop back and go along the ground to get the sheep all back in the race, because I could go back and forth there, push the sheep up all day and they'll just take no notice of me, but to get the dog up on their backs and back through underneath them, it makes it so much easier. Another thing, just while Woody's in his training, I'll start him on what we call unloading the race. So I want him to come up here and actually start the sheep for me before I let him go.
Max.
And same thing, so the same thing as I did with Waddy. I'll make him hold those sheep now until I'm ready. And this is the sort of training that this dog's at now, just that more the precision, to stop where I want him and to sit up where I want him. So we'll just sit. And that's the thing with your young dogs, you want that control so he doesn't, if he goes racing on them sheep before I'm ready, he can bust them all up, and that's when you can get sheep hurt, because if one racks off by itself, they go a bit silly and that's when I try and jump a fence or something. See? So at this stage of training, that's one of the things you've got to really stick to. You've got to make sure he's doing what he's told now. And with the young dog, I'll show you more how we start on the path to sheepdogness. But at this stage, he sort of knows his job, he knows his spot in the yards now. So I just want him doing it, like I said, that under control. If you got your dogs under control, it just becomes such an easy thing to work sheep. Whereas if you got a dog that's out of control, racing around everywhere, sometimes they can be more of a hindrance than a help. So the sheep's still not real keen on this race. It's the same thing, so it doesn't need too much force. You don't want too much force here because you only end up with your sheep jammed up in this narrow part. Oh, and trick down. Here. The same thing. Sit. 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 Make him stop and make him stay there. He's at the stage now, he's not playing, he's got to learn to be the proper work dog. So he must stay where he's told. Sit. 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 Stay. Sit. Sit. Stay. Stay there. Undi. Sit down. Sit down. That's the thing with your dogs, even your pet dogs at home. If you've taught them to do something and you're giving them a command, make it stick. Don't let him just wander off if he feels like it. He must do what he's told. Good boy.